Wide receiver Julio Jones has found a new home. On Wednesday, the vet signed a one-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Jones is looking to rebound from a down season with the Titans and will be another weapon in Tom Brady's receiving corps. I mean, Julio Jones, just reading that there, it's kind of weird saying that he had a down season because he's always been one of the top receivers, I feel like. But now that he's playing on a team with a guy like Tom Brady, how much do you think that's going to really give him a boost there?
This is going to be huge. It's going to be huge, and Julio Jones is going to be a Hall of Famer whenever he decides to hang it up. He's been one of the best wide receivers in the NFL for the last decade, and to go to Tennessee, a team that was a run-first offense, and then you had, A.J. Brown, who was the #1 receiver there. It was different after leaving Atlanta. He goes now to a team that has Super Bowl expectations. He has Tom Brady as his quarterback, still doing it at a high level, and this receiving core for the Bucs. You have Mike Evans, you have Chris Godwin coming off the torn ACL, but he avoided the PUP list, so they're expecting him to be back. Now you had Julio Jones, they got Scotty Miller, they got Russell Gage, Brashon Perriman, who made plays. They are stacked.
If they can stay healthy.
Right, and so you imagine, I think there's some people that still think Rob Gronkowski is going to come back at some point, but if he doesn't, you imagine that some of those targets in the red zone now go to Julio Jones. So that is a wide receiver room that a lot of teams would like around the NFL.
As an avid Bucs fan, I will just tell you that this just makes this even more enticing to watch them because you're adding a future Hall of Famer. And you mentioned Gronkowski. Well, Kyle Rudolph is there. They signed him, and he's a really good tight end who hasn't been getting a lot of looks, a lot of receptions from the last couple of years. I think he's a great player. Now, what happens to Tom Brady? He comes out of retirement. Well, I don't think he's going to be thinking about retirement for a while, adding this extra wide receiver. The red zone is going to be death for defenders right now because there's so many people they got to worry about.
Yeah, and when he was with, just going back to him, when he was with the Falcons, he was that dude, right?
Yeah.
He got majority of the receptions there. But, when you were talking about the receiving core, you don't know if he's going to get as many catches, right? Because they have so much depth there. But I think he's at a point in his career where he just wants to win, right?
Yeah, everybody was looking for that elusive Super Bowl championship, and Julio was on that 28-3 team against the guy that's now throwing him the football, Tom Brady, and the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
And so you got to imagine, look, I have all the numbers, I have the accolades, I will go to the Hall of Fame eventually. I won a Super Bowl. And the guy that beat me in the one I was in, let him throw me the football now.
Well, looking at the division as a whole of the NFC South, where do they stand now, adding a guy like Julio Jones?
Oh, they're right there at the top. And not even in terms of the NFC South, but in terms of the NFC as a whole. Because you look at all the quarterback talent that went from the NFC to the AFC, and we talked about it during the offseason. There's not a lot of teams other than the Super Bowl champion LA Rams that you're really concerned about if you're the Tampa Bay Bucs. So, yeah, they're right there. It's NFC Championship would be the bar for me for them, and then likely going to the Super Bowl if they knock off the LA Rams.